So from last week, we have the slope, that's your change in y over change in x. Right, so that's formula for the slope. We have the y equals mx plus b formula, so that's your slope-intercept form, gives you the slope of the line and the y-intercept. And another equation of the line was y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And that is a point slope form. So we agreed last week that in order to find equation of the line, you need two things. You need the slope and you need the point on that line. And that will basically do it 90% of the time. So in order to find equation of a line, you need slope and a point. So we always need two things. We need the slope of that line and any point on that line. Okay? So if you have these two things, you'll be able to find equation of a line. There are two special cases, we'll talk about them later, when you deal with the horizontal and vertical lines. Those are special. Okay? So let's just do an example. I can ask you, find equation of a line that passes through a point -2, 3, and has a slope m equals negative about 1/2. Looks ugly. So we have all the necessary pieces in order to find the equation of a line. And this is how I like doing these problems. I like to start with your point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Because then x1 and y1 are given to us. That's the point. And the slope is given to us. So I can just plug everything in. I can plug in 3 for y1, negative 1/2 for m, and negative 2 for x1. So this is the setup. Is that all right? Do you see where all those numbers came from? Well, now I'm just going to simplify. So this is y minus 3 equals negative 1/2. Two negatives inside the parenthesis give me a positive, so that's x plus 2 inside, right? Then distribute, because again, you want your answer to be in the mx plus b form, so distribute negative 1/2 to get y minus 3 equals negative 1/2 x minus 1, right? Negative 1/2 times 2 will give you negative 1. And then add 3 to both sides. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. So that will be the equation of the line that passes through the point -2, +3. and has a slope of negative 1/2. Is that all right? So what is the y-intercept of that line? 2, and what is the slope? Slope is negative 1/2, but what does that mean? How do you interpret the slope? Down 1 over 2. So I can actually sketch a graph of this line. The y-intercept equals 2, so here it is. That'd be 2. It's probably not the best. I don't know why I did that. Just move the 2 over. So that's just silly. Let that be 2, just easier on the eye. So then you go down 1 over 2. So that's the slope. And that's the graph. Good? Yeah? All right. Any questions? No? Makes sense? All right, how about this? Find equation of the line. Of the line that passes through point 3, 5 and negative 2 15, something like that. So I have a line that goes through these 2 points, and so again, what 2 things do I need to find equation of the line? And a point, right? Well, I got 2 points and no slope. But I have enough information to find the slope of the line. Don't you agree? Can I find the slope? I have 2 points, so step 1 would be find the slope. So that's changing y, we're changing x. So that's 15 minus 5 over negative 2 minus 3. So that is 10 over negative 2. I'm sorry, over negative 5. So the answer is negative 2. So the slope is negative 2. Okay? So again, we need the slope, we need the point. So we found the slope. I have 2 points. Which one do I choose? Either one. If I choose the first point or the second point, I'll still get the same answer. Now, which one of these 2 points would you like to choose? First one, right? It looks a little friendly. I don't know why, but doesn't have anything negative. So it's actually, I can do both, and I'll show you that the answer will come out to be the same. But if you're using a point 3, 5, and you're starting with the point slope form, we can plug everything in. We'll get y minus 5 equals negative 2 times x minus 3. Is that okay? 5 for y1, negative 2 for m, and 3 for x1. And then if we simplify this, you distribute negative 2, you get negative 2x plus 6. And then add 5 to both sides. So we'll end up with y equals negative 2x plus 11. Is that okay? What is the y-intercept? And what is the slope? Negative 2. Don't write this down. I'm just going to do this really quickly using the other point, just to show you that the answer will come out to be the same. If I use the point negative 2, 15, then I'll have to go y minus 15 equals negative 2 times x minus negative 2, like that, right? 15 for y1, negative 2 for x1. So that is y minus 15 equals negative 2 times x plus 2. Distribute negative 2, you'll get y minus 15 equals negative 2x minus 4, right? And then add 15 to both sides. Y equals negative 2x plus 11. So you get the same results. Doesn't matter which point you pick. Okay? So pick whatever smiles at you the most. Good? Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Oh, was that a yes or I guess? Yes, all right. That's a big difference. All right. So I think we've mentioned that last time, but what do we know about the parallel lines and their slopes? Right. So parallel lines have the same slopes. Okay? So basically, if a line y equals m1x plus b1 is parallel, well, I shouldn't say if, I should just say line y equals m1x plus b1 is parallel to a line y equals m2x plus b2 if and only if the lines are parallel. Okay, that's a stupid statement. If and only if the slopes are the same. Sorry. In other words, m1 equals m2. So the slopes of both lines are the same. So if the two lines are parallel, then the slopes are the same, and if slopes are the same, the two lines are parallel. Is that okay? So basically, that's all you need to get out of that long statement. But here's an example. Find equation of a line that passes through a point 1, negative 3 and parallel to the line 2x minus 4y plus 5 equals 0. So I need to know the slope and I need to know the point, right? I have the point. Do I know the slope? I mean, it's not given to me, but can I find the slope? How would we do that? Because I do have enough information on this problem to find the slope of our line. So what kind of information we're going to use? So what am I going to get out of that? Well, okay, so that was the original question. I have a point, I need to find the slope. How would you go about finding the slope of our line? What? Oh, no, you just speak to me in complete sentences and we'll move on. On what? On what? Is that what you're trying to say? I thought so. You were not saying that. But yes. So put this line in mx plus b form, and then you can clearly see the slope of that line, right? Yes. And then the slope of that line would be the slope of our line because parallel lines have the same slope. So good. Just got to communicate your feelings to me and we'll move on. So we need to solve for y, right? Okay, so 1 solve for y in this 2x minus 4y plus 5 equals 0. So the easiest way to solve for y is just add 4y to the other side. So if I add 4y to the other side, I'll end up with this. 4y equals 2x plus 5. Right? Now we're going to divide by 4. Divide both sides by 4. So y equals 1/2 x. Is that right? Plus 5 over 4. Right? Because 4 divides both. That 5 over 4 is completely irrelevant to our problem because all I need is the slope. So what is the slope of this line? What? Yeah, so slope equals 1/2, and since lines are parallel, the slope of our line is also 1/2. So we use that second line, we use that reference line to find the slope of our line. We knew that the lines are parallel, their first slopes are the same, so we just had to find the slope of that reference line. Now the rest should be pretty straightforward. The point is 1, -3, and the slope is 1/2. So we will start with the point slope form. And we'll just plug in everything that we know. So we get y minus the y value, so y minus -3 equals 1/2 times x minus 1. And then we're going to simplify that. So y plus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 1/2. So subtract 3 from both sides. So 1/2 x minus 3/2. Not 3/2, 3 1/2. Is that okay? So the y-intercept is negative 3.5, and the slope is 1/2, so you go up 1 over 2. Any questions on that one? Does that make sense? All right. Now, you might remember this from your earlier courses, but do you know anything about the perpendicular lines and their slopes? Reciprocal? Negative reciprocal. You want it to be flipped and on the opposite sign. So let's say this slope is 1/2, so the line that's perpendicular to that line will have slope of -2. So you flip 1/2 and you change the sign. So the perpendicular lines, their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So the slopes of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals of each other. Meaning one slope equals -1 over the other slope. So 1/2 and -2, 3/2 and -2/3, -7/2 and +2/7. You know, you flip it and you change the sign. Or every time you multiply the slopes of the lines that are perpendicular, you get -1. The product of the perpendicular slopes is always -1. Good? So an example, find the equation of the line that passes through a point 27 and is perpendicular to the line that passes through for 1 and -2, 5. So I want to find equation of a line that passes through the point 27. So 27 is the point on our line. But I also know that our line is perpendicular to this line that goes through those 2 points. Does the question make sense? So again, I know the points. I do not know the slope. So the first step, I need to find the slope. So how would you go about finding the slope? Right, so you will first find the slope of that line that we're looking for. I'm sorry, of that reference line, right? So yes, find the slope of that reference line. So that's 5 minus 1 over -2 minus 4. So what do we end up with? 4 over -6. Is that right? So it looks like -2/3. So that is the slope of that other line. So it has a slope -2/3. Now, our line is perpendicular to that one. So what is the slope of our line? 3/2. So I have to flip it and change the sign. So therefore, slope of our line is 3/2. So point is 27. And the slope is 3/2, so I can find the equation. Using the point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So when I plug everything in, I'll get y minus 7 equals 3/2 times x minus 2. Is that good? Now simplify that. Y minus 7 equals 3/2 x minus 3, because 3/2 times 2 is 3. Add 7 to both sides. Y equals 3/2 x plus 4. Is that okay? How would we grab that line? How would you go about sketching the graph of that line? Start positive 4, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Start at positive 4. And then what? All right, so up 3 over 2. So here's that line. Okay? Good stuff? Just for fun, you don't have to do that. But if I plot those other 2 points, 4 and 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. And what was the other one? Negative 2, 5. So 1, 2, and then 5. And I connect those. It's almost looks perpendicular. That's a pretty good perpendicular attempt without using any kind of a graphing paper. So yeah, they'll come out perpendicular, those two lines. Good? Great. Yeah. Two special cases, horizontal lines and vertical lines, because we talked about that kind of last week. What is the slope of a horizontal line? 0. And what is the slope of a vertical line? Undefined. So if you look about the horizontal lines, slope equals 0. So then if you look at the equation, y equals mx plus b, and if m equals 0, what is left? Well, something's left. Y equals mx plus b, if m equals 0, what are you left with? Anyone? So y equals mx plus b, but m happened to be 0. What are we left with? Y equals b. So that would really be the equation of a horizontal line. Y is a constant. Y always equals some number. So equation of a horizontal line that passes through AB is y equals b. Y always equals that constant. So it's flat. So graphically speaking, here's the point AB, and here's that horizontal line. It will hit the y-axis at B, so y equals b always. Okay? Now if we take the same logic, and we talk about the vertical lines, so the slope is undefined, so we cannot really reference y equals mx plus b equation because there is no slope. But if we take that same logic, and if I grab a point AB, and I do a vertical line through this, x stays the same, right? No matter what point on this line I'm going to look at, x always equals a. So equation of a vertical line is just going to be x equals a. Okay? So equation of a vertical line that passes through point AB is just always x equals a. X remains a constant. Okay? So these are the two special cases where you don't have to look for the point in the slope. So if it's a horizontal line, the slope equals 0, so you're just left with y equals b. And if it's a vertical line, the slope is undefined. Good? Any questions on that? No questions? Any worksheet? All right, let's try the worksheet. Don't do the very last question, question 4. It's silly. Yeah, take a little break.